Are you selling yourself short? Are you accepting less than what you're really worth? Are you hanging around people that are not the kind of people that you really should be hanging out with? Are you applying for jobs and job positions that are below your abilities? Are you aiming too low in life because you're either afraid to go high or you don't really feel like you deserve to be up there? Well, in this video, I want to share with you how can you get out of that mindset, stop selling yourself short, and aim higher. When I was growing up, the school system and my schoolmates weren't really supportive of my confidence development, to say it lightly. I was bullied daily. I was teased and picked on every single day. Kids would tell me that I'm not worth anything and that I shouldn't really be there. So as you can imagine, I formed a very negative image of myself. As a kid, I didn't really know how to deal with it. So I wasn't really telling that to anyone. I just kind of kept it for myself. But because you kind of form your identity and your beliefs about who you are and how much you deserve up until you're like 7 years old, I was pretty vulnerable to the influences of my peers. So I developed an image that simply stated that I wasn't enough. I wasn't worth enough. I didn't deserve what I really wanted to have. I remember liking this girl in class, but I could never tell her that I like her because I simply didn't feel like I would deserve to be with her. And never dealing with it really led me where I became a grown-up. I grew up, but I had the same thinking of myself in my mind. So I would hang out with people that I really had no business hanging out with. I would apply for jobs that weren't really at my level of abilities. In other words, because of my upbringing, I decided that I wasn't worth that much, but I was worth this much. So I made a decision to simply aim low. And all of this was kind of happening in the background. I never was really aware of what was happening. The only thing that I could notice is that my life wasn't really working. I would choose relationships that were damaging and they would kind of be dysfunctional. I would choose jobs where I knew I could do more, but I was like, that's all I can do, probably, I guess. I wouldn't set high goals. Like I would see a car that I would really want to drive, but then I'd say, this isn't realistic. Like, who are you to do that? In other words, I was full of doubt and I had no confidence in myself whatsoever. Until everything changed. One day I met a person, very special person that I call my secret mentor. And my secret mentor had a freaking Porsche. When I saw him, I was amazed. I was excited. I was enthusiastic. And all I knew was that I wanted to be just like him. So my journey started, and that led me to an amazing personal growth experience. And one of the key books in my journey was this one called Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. Maxwell Maltz was a plastic surgeon, and he found out something really, really interesting. He discovered that some people would come to him and they would say, I'm ugly, I have a big nose, I'd like to do a surgery. And sure enough, when he would do the surgery and he would fix the person's nose, the person would feel amazing. They would be confident and happy, and they would just go on with their lives, whistling and doing whatever. But then he also noticed that there were certain people that would come to him and then complain about the same thing. They would say, I have an ugly nose, I want to fix this. But after they would go through surgery and they would have a beautiful nose, they would still feel dissatisfied with themselves. They would still think they're unattractive and that they're ugly, even though physically there was nothing wrong with them. And what Maxwell Maltz discovered was that there are two images inside of each of us. One image is the image that we see in the mirror. It's like literally our physical appearance. And the other image is a secret image inside of us. It's an image that no one can see with their eyes except ourselves. He discovered that people don't really see themselves as they are, but as they think they are. And after studying this closely, I've learned that the thing that he was talking about was called self-image. And the thing with self-image is that it's developed very early on in our childhood. By the time we're like 7 years old, we pretty much decided on who we are, how much we're worth, how much we can do, who can we date, what we can drive, how much money can we make, the kind of relationship that we'll have, basically everything. So the self-image really controls us everywhere we go. It's a set of beliefs that we hold about ourselves, about how much we're worth, how much we can do, how much we're able to do, what we deserve, and so on and so forth. Well, as you can imagine, with my upbringing in my early days of school, I developed a very bad self-image. Looking back on my photos, I never was let's say, unattractive guy. I would even say I was pretty cute. However, I never saw myself as attractive. I remember one time when I was maybe 13 or 14 years old, one girl came and introduced herself to me, and I was amazed that someone was actually interested in me. Amazed. Because I literally thought that no girl ever would ever be interested in me. All I knew about myself were the things that I heard kids tell me about me. So your self-image is really determining how far you'll go in life, the kind of goals you should set for yourself, and everything else in between. So are you selling yourself short? Are you doing things that are below your level of ability? Maybe you're even living the kind of life that isn't up to your standard, all because you have certain beliefs about yourself that you just can't resolve. I really like a quote that I'm not really sure where I heard of. Was it Louisa Hay, or was it some motivational speaker? Maybe it was, I think it was Wayne Dyer. But the quote goes, if you didn't have the ability to accomplish something, you wouldn't even have the desire for that thing. And the desire for something means that you have inside of yourself the ability to accomplish that desire. So I would want to ask you, what do you intuitively desire? What can you catch yourself imagining or fantasizing during the day or during the night? What kind of relationships do you can imagine yourself really deserving? What kind of car? What kind of career? I would want to encourage you to follow your intuition. When a really good car passes you by, do you get goosebumps? When you see someone dressed really nicely, is there a part of you that says, that's me? Listen to that part. That part already knows who you really are. You see, you were born a certain way. And even though situations in life can change us, they don't really change the essence of us. So if you were born with the desire to drive a really nice car, if that's honestly your desire, then let me tell you that you have the ability to get that car. And I don't care if you are a mailman or a postman or whatever, and you can imagine yourself being in a suit and a tie and being a CEO of a big corporation driving a freaking Lamborghini. If you can honestly imagine that, if you can honestly feel yourself being that, then that's in you. I want you to ask yourself, what can I imagine for myself? And don't just say stuff that you saw in commercials, like I want a Lamborghini, I want this. Be honest with the true desire that you have in yourself. Just for one moment, quiet down the mind that was taught, that like other people told you about how much you're worth. Just try to quiet down for 1 second and try to listen to your soul. Your soul already knows. Your soul knows exactly where you fit in. You need to understand that intuition is not something that's gonna scream at you and tell you, This is what you need to do. This is who you are. No, it doesn't work that way. Your intuition is more like a whisper. It just whispers like this. You can barely hear it. So you have to tune in very, very closely. You've been programmed a certain way. However, you're not a robot. You're a human being. You have intellect, you have your heart, you have your soul. No one can take that away from you. At a certain point, I could see myself making videos and being the kind of person that I am today. But from the position that I was at, I could like, that would be, oh, come on, what are you talking about? Filling those store shelves in my dead-end job, I could never, like, me? But if your intuition can whisper, then it's probably true. So listen to the whisper. What is your intuition telling you you really are? Who are you really? What is the thing that you really deserve? Listen closely and then act on it. Maybe you want to write it down. Write down the way you could see yourself. You can like suspend your disbelief just for a second and say, look, I know this is not gonna happen, but let's just play a game. Let me just write it down. Play with it. I want to leave you with a quote from Steve Jobs. And the quote goes like this: have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. So don't sell yourself short. Don't buy into the idea that who you are is all that you can be. Listen to your intuition. Listen to your heart and follow it.